Welcome back, everybody. It's Friday, May 22nd, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every day feels like Monday these days. So I just wanted to say hi to everybody. We're going to do our normal Friday cast here on Facebook. So welcome. It's great to see everybody. I'll give everybody a few moments, as we always do, to get on, but it's exciting to chat with you. I have a lot to go over today. I'm excited to share many things with you and bring you up to speed on what we've been working on recently, and let you know what I know, because quite frankly you should. So it's exciting. Start off with what's everybody's plans for the weekend. If you want to take a moment, shoot me a note, let me know what you're going to do. I'll share with you what I'm doing. So as soon as we get done here, I am going to the lake. We have been blessed enough over the last, 7 or 8 years. We have a little spot on the lake that we go out to in our camper, and we just relax with great friends and get some surfing in or riding on their boats. So that's a great time. We barbecue and enjoy a little campfire, and I'm looking forward to relaxing with my wife and daughters. So it should be good. But brings us to the reason for the weekend, Memorial Weekend. It's a great weekend to observe. For those of you who don't know, it started off as Decoration Day shortly after the Civil War. What do we celebrate Memorial Day for? Well, it's to remember our fallen heroes, the brave men and women who have served this country honorably and passed away doing so. I want to say a great thank you to all of those men and women, to their families that they left behind. They made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. And you hear me talk a lot about our freedoms and liberties. They don't come easily. It comes at a high price, and those brave men and women sacrificed the ultimate price for it, which was their life. And I can't tell them thank you enough. I honor you, I recognize you, and I recognize the loved ones that you've left behind, as they're there to pick up the pieces and move on to the best of their ability. But I thank you. I truly do. Many services for Memorial Weekend have been canceled or postponed due to the pandemic. I know Alt canceled their flag services for the weekend. I've still been trying to figure out what's going on in Greeley. Haven't been able to find definitively what's going on there. Eaton postponed their traditional Memorial Day service till Flag Day here later in June. And so it's kind of shaky what's going on. I was talking to someone down in Erie. They weren't sure if theirs was going on this weekend. They were trying to find out and whatnot. But I know I love to go to those services at the cemetery and recognize those individuals. And, my thanks to the VFWs and various organizations that put those events together and let us celebrate those lives and the ultimate sacrifice that they made. So want to talk to you about a couple things going on with COVID-19 you may or may not be aware of. First one I want to talk to you about is something that frankly should concern you. It concerns me. People talk about whether or not they feel safe during this COVID-19 pandemic. Well, maybe one of the reasons they don't feel safe is the way that the governor has ordered and the judges have ordered across the state for our county sheriffs to release the inmates that they have. Just so that you know where we're at, and Sheriff Reams can speak far more depth at this than what I can, but in a briefing with him, what was shared with me was prior to this pandemic. If we look at February 1st, we had about 850, give or take, inmates in our jail at that time. Since then, since the sheriff has been ordered to release inmates and let them go back out onto the street regardless of their crimes, we're down to about 450 inmates in our jail system here in the county. Now, keep in mind, throughout this pandemic, the sheriff's office has still been making their normal arrests and processing those criminals along with our municipalities and booking them. And with that being said, our population, our inmate population, is clear down. And frankly, it's even lower. We're holding on to a little over 50 inmates for the state. If the state would come get their inmates, we'd be even lower, but we get to hold on to them and cover the governor's tail on that. So I don't get that. Why in a pandemic are we letting people who have broken the law free without repercussion? I read a story online the other day of a gentleman who had stolen cars. In fact, he got arrested early in the morning after stealing his first car, got booked, released because they were told they needed to release him, went out and stole his second car of the day, was caught, booked, released, and why not go for the hat trick? The gentleman went and stole his third car of the day and was arrested again. I don't know on that third time whether he was let go or not. I can't definitively tell you there, but I shared this story with the sheriff. He goes, yeah, frankly, that's kind of what's going on all around. He's hearing the stories too. And that's troubling. Generally, we have a reason for not breaking laws is because there's repercussions should we choose to do so. Well, if there's no repercussions or it's simply just don't do that again, right? There's really no repercussions, and really we should all, be mindful of that. So it just it irks me. We shouldn't be releasing criminals just because of this. And I don't like this whole, well, our jails are overcrowded and COVID will spread through them. Well, we still are a country of laws. We still have to follow and abide by the laws, and I struggle with that. How do you feel about that? Do you think we should be letting them go? Or do you think we should be doing our normal detention of those criminals for their various crimes that they have committed, and letting them come and go as we normally have, and serve the amount of time that traditionally has been served? I'd love to hear your feedback on that. Shoot me a comment. Other things I want to talk about. This is a big announcement on behalf of Weld County. The Weld County Commissioners recently decided, this is what I was excited to talk to you about last week, but we recently have funded to the tune of about $250,000 testing across Weld County. What we are doing, we've set up a goal and parameters, right? We need to have metrics and data for things that we're doing and have goals in mind, or else it really isn't a plan. Well, our plan and our goal is to test 10% of the residents across Weld County. And by that, I mean in all corners of Weld County. We're going to start those tests on June 1st, and they will progress then for the next 60 days. Over that time, our goal is to get 10% of Weld County residents tested. Now, if you want to get tested and you're symptomatic, you can come on in. If you're asymptomatic and you've been in close contact with someone who has been symptomatic or proven COVID positive, come on in. These tests are going to be provided free of charge by Weld County. And what we're trying to do is get an accurate snapshot of where COVID is across the entire county. Not just one municipality or another, but we're trying to get an accurate representation all there. We're also trying to see how COVID is progressing through our county. So once we hit that 10% number, then we'll be able to determine what we need to do next. Do we need to find 30% testing? Do we figure we have enough information with the 10%? We're doing this testing not as Weld County alone. Our health department doesn't have the resources, nor does the county, to administer the 33,000 plus tests that we would need to administer. So we're partnering with our private health companies across Weld County. And I want to say thank you to them. I say thank you to the professionals that are helping us out with that. I also want to say thank you to the epidemiologists and the tracers, the contact tracers, that will then be following up with everyone that has been found positive and finding where those contacts were made so that we can let others know so that they can self-isolate, self-quarantine. How this is going to work, if you want to sign up for tests, again, they're being held all over the county. Fort Lupton, Severance, heck, Briggsdale, right? I mean, these are being held all over the county. Again, the first set of tests start on June 1st. If you would like to take part, go to weldhealth.org. Again, that's weldhealth.org. You can sign up. Now, it has to be 7 days in advance and sooner. You can actually sign up till 3 p.m. the day of the test, but we can't sign up farther out than that 7 days. So if you go on right now, you're a little early. You won't be able to sign up. Monday, you will be able to sign up for those tests. And I would encourage you, if that's something you want to do, take part. And again, the county's covering this so that we can begin to do, get that better snapshot of what's going on here in the county. Again, weldhealth.org, and you can sign up Monday for the first testing facility if you'd like. When you go, they've got some requirements, but you can read about those online. I won't go into depth on those right now. Other big news, I don't know if you're aware, Weld County puts out a newsletter. And we have a new newsletter that's being released today. And that newsletter is actually called County Roots. So I want to give a big prop or a big shout out to that. This month's topic, well, it's kind of a special one. It's about high school graduates. And we want to give a shout out, and Weld County, we just want to share with you how important it is for us to recognize you as graduates this year. You've overcome a lot. The class of 2020, your school year, your times of memory that you lock up, like your senior prom, your graduation, for many of you, or most of you, that's been disrupted. We want to let you know, though, how much we're appreciative of you, how much we're cheering you on for success for the future. We know you can do it. Times of adversity build character and strength. You guys have endured a lot, just like everybody. But I want to say thank you and congratulations. It's really commendable getting your degree, forging ahead in these challenging times, and finishing up your schoolwork and still figuring out what your next plan is. Whether you're going to college, whether you're going to a trade school, whether you're going to open up a business. These are bright times ahead of you. The future is yours, and I'm excited for you. I want to say congratulations. You probably aren't getting to hear it enough, but hats off. That's a big accomplishment, and I'm proud of you as well as everybody at Weld County. We're rooting for you. So check out our newsletter. It's on our website, and you can sign up for it and get that monthly to your inbox if you so choose. Other big news that you need to be aware of. We talked about this a few weeks ago, and this was actually one of the questions that you brought up to me. You said, how are the cases of COVID being reported? And how are the fatalities being reported inside of the state and inside of Weld County? Some of you had concerns that maybe they weren't being accurately reported. So we stayed on top of this. I want to say that Weld County's coroner has done an excellent job staying on top of this, as well as our EOC team, which again is our Emergency Operations Center team, that is really spearheading this movement right now. They're under our ESF8 coordination, and they're really the ones handling the COVID response right now. But a little bit of background so you know. Deaths get reported, and when someone passes away, the cause of death is written down on their death certificate. Those are then forwarded to the state during this pandemic. And the state then says, well, county, here's your latest list of fatalities. Here's your latest list of positive cases of COVID-19. So we have to report what the state says. If you looked at our report, even today, it looks like we have about 126 fatalities due to COVID, along with about 2,400 positive cases. What you're going to see, and we're putting a press release out today. In fact, it should have already went out. But what you'll see at the beginning of next week is those case numbers will drop, along with our fatalities will also drop. And the reason for this is the state has not been reporting these accurately. In fact, Weld County had over or around 100 cases, I think we're going to show more, that were classified as positives, but in fact really weren't. So that number is going to come down. Here's the other big one. Across the state, and many of you may have heard, there was around 1,200 fatalities across the state. That number is going down just shy of 400. Here in Weld County alone, our fatality rate will drop about 39 cases, 37, 39. That to me is concerning. Here's why. If someone passed away, let's say from a car accident, and upon their death they were tested and they had COVID-19, they were getting listed as a COVID-19 fatality. You know, and I know that was not the cause of death. However, that was what was being listed. So now what we've been able to do is get that corrected. So that individual would not count as a COVID-19 death. Yes, they had COVID-19, but that wasn't what caused their fatality. Now, if someone's symptoms and what they were, fighting is what caused COVID or caused their fatality, if that COVID-19 symptom caused that fatality, then yes, it should be listed as such. So our number is going to go down to about 89 is what I've been told, fatalities truly due to COVID-19. And I'll be interested to keep tracking that. I hope you do too, right? We need to stay on top of these things. We need to stay diligent and hold people accountable, because the truth in the numbers is really where it's at. Great news. Our hospitals are still tracking very low for the usage of the hospital beds, for the usage of ventilators. To me, this is what we need to be watching, right? Our goal when we started this, what we were told, was we can't overwhelm the hospitals. We need to flatten the curve. Weld County has never gotten to a point where we overwhelmed our hospitals. We never got to the point where we used up all of our ventilators that were available. And that's what we're tracking right now. My goal is to get that information out to you so that you can watch that information on a daily basis. That's really what we're working at here. People are worried, and now they move the goalposts, right? Well, that wasn't good enough. Now we have to worry about this, or we have to worry about that. I appreciate it, but let's have a goal in mind. We have to use data. Are we making decisions based solely on emotion here? Or are we using data and constructing rational analysis? And so I'm confident in the decisions we've made here in Weld County, as we're not overwhelming those systems. And here's the great news. Should we have an enormous spike that we don't anticipate, up at the Budweiser Center, a makeshift hospital has been set up with 2,500 beds that we could utilize. We haven't had to yet because, again, our hospitals were never overwhelmed. But we have a little bit of an insurance policy, and I say that being, an insurance agent. So let's keep a tab on that. I challenge you to keep a tab on it too and hold us accountable. Let's try and get the information that you need. Information gives us a better understanding of what's going on around us and how to really determine, right, whether we feel safe going out and doing business or opening up businesses. It gives us that ability to do that self-risk assessment. Do I still need to stay back? Am I at risk? Am I vulnerable? Do I need to stay home? As we talk about the health department, because that seems to be the topic a lot of people have wanted to talk about. It's in the news these days. I just want to say for myself, I know I've said it before, but a big thank you to Dr. Wallace. I haven't known him a real long time. As you guys know, I've only been a county commissioner. Well, goodness, I'm at my 3-month anniversary here this week. So it feels like an eternity, but during that 3 months, I would say it's been a pleasure to know Dr. Wallace. I know he's done a great job. His retirement wasn't something we were expecting, but I'm happy for him. He wanted to spend more time with his family, and kudos to you. He served 25 years to Weld County. He did an excellent job, and my hat's off to you, Dr. Wallace. And I just say, congratulations, well earned. One of the other things I wanted to touch on today, who watched the news? I didn't have the opportunity to, but I got briefed on it. Looks like the president made a big announcement. Donald Trump today noted that churches are to be considered essential. And he said they should reopen for individuals to go practice their faith. And you know what? My hat is off to the president. Thank you, Donald Trump, for doing that. I, too, think they're essential. I think they're important for us to be able to practice our faith and congregate and learn. I'm excited to hear that. It should give more confidence to our places of worship to open up. Many have reached out to us and said, what do we do? And we said, hey, we've got guidelines out there. You know, we leave this up to you. Figure it out. Use your common sense. But it's exciting to hear what the president has said today. Kind of brings us back to that whole reopening discussion we continue to have, right? When did we get to a point where we had personal responsibility to make our own decisions, to the shift of we have to have government sign off on everything that we do? I'm not just talking about the COVID-19 response. I'm really talking about life in general. How many of us have to have licenses to do business? How many of us have to have certificates or continue to have certification and education to say that I can do business? It's interesting, isn't it? Shouldn't someone be able to do business and then based on their skill set, education and knowledge, and then really word of mouth and how they practice in that business be enough to determine whether they're good or not? I argue that still goes on, right? I argue that many people are certified to do business or have licenses, yet may not be good at what they do, and they don't last real long in what they do. I also would argue that there's excellent people out there practicing. That license does not make them good or bad in what they do. So why did we get to that point? I think it's about government control. I think we should all be concerned about that. So back to what Weld County's done. We have issued guidelines. We've given a way for people to have a reference to what they should choose to do. Practices. Best practices, as I've referred to them many times on here, right? Should someone choose to open, which people are doing, wouldn't we want them to follow some best practices or guidelines or give them some resources that they could follow to help make you feel safer if you want to go do business with them? So we've done here in Weld County. I'm proud of it. Goes back to that level of communication. We have to have open lines of communication as government officials with our constituents, with you. You're who I represent. But I have to hear from you to know what you want. I also base decisions on my own experiences like any of us do. And it's important that we have that open line of communication because what that fosters is trust. And we have to be able to trust one another as we move forward. Because if we can't, then we're in some slippery slopes. No decision I make is going to make everybody happy. And I'm comfortable with that. That's the role. But our goal is to do what's right. Uphold the Constitution of the United States above all, and follow those laws. And we talk about it, and I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but our rights, our liberties, our freedoms that were both bestowed upon us by our Creator, those don't take times off during COVID-19. They don't take times off during pandemics or other hardships or times of war. Those rights, freedoms, and liberties, they stick with us forever. If we give them up, we go down a slippery slope that we won't get those back. We hear about our right to free speech and our right to bear arms, which I am in full of support of. You take away the Second Amendment, well, then the First Amendment's gone with it. we have to stand up for those. But we have to stand up for all of our rights and freedoms. Because once we give them up, and if we lay over, well then people with power will want to take them away permanently. So I challenge you, stand up for your liberties. Know them. Know your rights. Know your freedoms. Don't be afraid to exercise them. Learn about them. We have to continually educate ourselves. In fact, the Founding Fathers said the only class they really thought we needed that should be provided would be really essentially a government class as far as what was the basis for founding this country. And that was what they thought was important, because they knew within a generation or two, if that wasn't shared, we'd simply forget why we had this country in the first place, why those rights are so important, why those freedoms are so important. So teach your kids about it. Teach yourself about it. Share that knowledge over a cold lemonade with your friend. And I guarantee it'll spark some great conversation. With that, I talked too long, but we have a few questions. So Sherry, would you want to go over those?
Just real quickly, has the state, there was in the news this week, the state tried to close down a postal service office in Denver.
Yep.
Has that happened in Weld County?
No. So the question is, if you read the news last night, Denver and the state tried to shut down the postal office in Denver, which serves all of northern Colorado and Wyoming. And the question is, has that happened in Weld County? The answer is no. Right? We're not shutting that down. From what I've learned, 5 employees inside that postal office of about 18,000 employees, if I've got my numbers correct, tested positive. And they're wanting to shut it down for that. To me, that's absurd. Right? A business can find ways to still self-isolate employees and keep going, I would think, especially when you're talking of importance like that. I mean, the post office is actually in our Constitution to some degree, right? I mean, it's out there for us to have those services. I don't get that. Some of this stuff is just blowing me away, what the overreach is going on. So, no, that hasn't happened in Weld County. Next question.
It's my question.
Oh, Sherry has a question.
How's the campaign going?
Campaign's going great. Thank you for asking, right? I always forget to talk about my own campaign. We're doing great. We've got some events set up for the next couple of weeks. We've got some Skype events. Love to have people join in. We're also getting our signs out. If you would like a sign, feel free to reach out to us. We've got 3x6s. We've also got the yard signs. We've got, several hundred signs out there already, but we want to get them to you. We need your support, though. We need you to share the word. Maybe you've seen some of our digital advertising that's going on out there. Drop me a note on Facebook. Say, hey, Kevin, I saw you. I saw you on the Drudge Report today. I saw you somewhere and your ad popped up. I know it can be scary, right? But it's kind of fun. Let's have some fun with this. Let me know where you see me at. But that's going good. Ballots come out on June 8th. And so be expecting those in the mail. You have to have them in prior to the 30th of June, or you can vote on the 30th of June. But that's when this primary closes. And ladies and gentlemen, we have to win this race. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm doing this to fight for Weld County. I'm doing this to fight for you, to make sure that we stand up to those down in Denver. Right? They're messing with our budget. They're cutting all of the essential programs to save their pet programs down there at the state legislature. And that's not right. Education getting hacked. Many other various projects getting hacked. Transportation. Oh, let's take the dollars out of it. We thought they were really important, but nope, not now. Right? Let's move those transportation dollars over to my little pet project over here. Or yeah, North I-25 was important, but I've got this little pet project over here, share the wealth. No, if it was important before COVID-19, I promise you it's still important today. But this is the baloney going on down there at the state capitol. I don't get it. I don't get what they're doing down there. I mean, I do get it, but I vehemently disagree with how they operate. They throw everything out the window. We got a couple good ones, and I'm grateful for them, right? But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm fighting for you here in Weld County. And as a county commissioner, I take no greater pride than that challenge every day to make sure that your rights, your way of life, and your business are protected here in Weld County. We have a unique way of life up here. We're still individual. Call it the Old West, whatever you want to call it. But we like to go out. We put on our work shoes on a daily basis, pull up our boots if it may be, and we get things done. We feed the world. We give the world energy. And we provide many other services here in this county. And I'm proud of that, and I'm going to continue to fight for it. But I need your help, ladies and gentlemen. Go to our website, www.kevinrossforweld.com. Again, that's kevinrossforweld.com. We'd love your support. Shoot us an email if you want to contribute to us financially. I would love that as well. But share the wealth with your friends. Share the knowledge with your friends. Let them know about me, and we're excited about that. But man, I get worked up. I get passionate about this. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But with that being said, let's not forget about the purpose of this weekend. Remember those soldiers, men and women, who fought and died for this great country, for you and me. And with that, I want to end there and say thank you. God bless you and have a wonderful weekend.